Welcome back to the Culture of Currency, where today we get into another one of these cool colorized coins in the temper evident packaging. We did the Daffy Duck last time. Really interesting. Scored a 49 out of 60. Now we go down to the depths of the ocean to check out one of the most underrated superheroes of all time. That scaly pants wearing Aquaman. So why Aquaman? Well, I have a connection to nature myself. I can't talk to fish, at least not in public, but it is something that I've always loved is nature, and so Aquaman has always been one of my favorite superheroes of all time, and it wasn't until much later in life that I realized the complexities of this character and kind of the amount of true strength that he had that often goes overlooked because, yes, he talks to fish, which can be not the best, party trick that you have in your book. It is an APMEX exclusive, so if you're not seeing it on channels like this, you odds are don't know it exists, and so that's something we want to obviously change here. So I got mine at APMEX, and I actually got it on sale, and last time I checked it was on sale even more than just the standard silver stamped version. So very, very simple, but I want your comments below. I know he talks to fish, so if you could have one superpower, just one, which one are you choosing? I would love the ability to control nature myself. I think that would be mine, to understand nature and be able to control it. To be able to just pop up a piece of corn right from the ground and eat it right there would be kind of cool. But, world hunger, all that kind of stuff, you'd be able to help with. But what is yours? So, as we noticed in the last video, this is called TEP, Tamper Evident Packaging. It's not something you just open. This is actually heat welded all the way around. Really cool product, and what it allows for you to have is a coin in here that is preserved, and also to seal in a little bit of information, such as what we have here, the Aquaman guy. So what I understand, this is what we call UV printing. It is not a sticker, but UV printing. And the unfortunate side is it has no depth to it. So if you were to take this out and, hold it, that type of thing, the UV printing can rub off, and you'll see that it's basically just a flat piece of silver on this side. Though it is stamped on this side, you can feel it as you push across the field here. So we have Aquaman here. Why is Aquaman important? Well, in a lot of these original eras of superheroes, we have what's called escapism, where life was hard for a multitude of reasons, and so having something that we could mentally escape to was a common theme. So we saw with the Looney Tunes in the 1930s and the Depression a bunch of escapism. We saw things like Superman and other comic book characters join up with that, and Aquaman came just a hair later, actually in 1941, and there was a couple of big things that happened in 1941, the most crucial of which in this light is going to be World War II. So the creators of Aquaman, they were pulled into an office, and a higher up said, hey, I want you to create a underwater character. This guy basically started from there. So in doing that, we had Aquaman created, and in a lot of his first comics, we saw that he was doing what we thought he would do in 1941. He was actually fighting U-boats, German U-boats, which were, the underwater ships, the submarines and things like that, that destroyed a lot of American and British and French and many other peoples in the Allied powers naval ships. So that being said, that's kind of how he got his start in the business. Is there was opportunity in 1941 for escapism. His character was created and helped defend the seven seas. So if you don't know about this guy, his name is Arthur Curry. His mom was from the lost city of Atlantis. She was Atlantean. She was, I think, the queen or the princess. Basically, she left, was washed up on the beach. Dad saved her, not his dad, not her dad. His dad ended up saving her. They fell in love, had him, so he was a cross between both the sea dwellers and the land dwellers, and eventually somewhat united Atlantis and humanity. Being such, he also helped found what we call the Justice League, which is kind of the old school. If you ever watched Super Friends back in the 60s and 70s, I believe it was, where you had Superman and Flash and Batman and all the people basically fighting all the crime, he helped found that. So what exactly can he do? Obviously, we know he has marine telepathy, so that's the most iconic. He can persuade fish and other animals, anything that lives on the sea, really, sometimes even humans, for a short period of time to do certain things. Obviously, being able to go to the very, very bottom of the ocean led him to have, in the comics at least, superhuman strength, agility, bulletproof skin, all that kind of stuff, because the immense pressure is just too much. And I know if I get a fish from down in the bottom and I shoot it, the bullet goes right through it. But hey, this is science. You can't argue with it. But yeah, he could do all that. He breathe underwater, of course. In fact, there's comics of him jumping kind of like the Hulk does, where he basically goes and leaps, and he, because of the pressure differential, can leap so high that he can clear the Empire State Building, all that kind of stuff. He's also heat resistant, which I guess has to do with the parts of the underwater that are close to magma. He has what we call a water bearer hand given to him by the Lady of the Lake, which is something most people don't know about, where he can dehydrate anyone he touches. So yeah, if you're making him mad, he can basically just touch you and then you're done. And he takes all the moisture from you. He can shoot jets of boiling and freezing water. So if you like ramen noodles, he would be your best roommate in college, because you could just bring a bowl and then there you go, you got food. He can manipulate bodies of water, and he could heal when touching water. So if he gets a paper cut and it hurts and he goes to a water fountain, then he's healed up, which is something I'm a little bit envious of. He also holds a trident. Most notably, there are two different tridents he often is seen with. One is the trident of Poseidon, and one is the trident of Neptune, which until this point I thought were the same person, one being Greek and one being Roman, but here we are being told it's not. He also could teleport and control water with these tridents, and they're indestructible. In fact, one of them stabbed Darkseid in the face, which I'm sure did not feel good, but Darkseid apparently is an impervious, battle-tested warrior, and apparently Trident here was enough to at least pester him. I even had a comic growing up where I saw him defeat, at least for a short time, Superman, because they were fighting in the ocean, why not? And Aquaman grabbed Superman, put him in a headlock, they fell in the water and went down to the depths of the ocean, and in falling into the depths of the ocean, there is no light, and so Superman was kind of up a creek, and by up a creek I mean down below, the pelagic zone of the sea. So his Marvel equivalent, for those of you who are Marvel people, which I am, would be Namor or Namor, depending on how you pronounce it. But yeah, that's kind of this guy, Aquaman. Very, very cool. You see the classic rendition here. You see the more, New Age rendition there. Scaly shirt, green fish pants, green gloves, my guy. So let's go ahead and put him on our 60-point scale so that we know exactly if this coin is right for you or not. When we look at the Obverse, which is this side right here, we are met with the same type of look as we did with our first coin that we did last time in the Daffy Duck. It's from Samoa, and yes, we have the monarch here, which many Samoan coins now have ditched the monarch and just have this little coat of arms, which we see at the bottom. Kind of boring a little bit because the field is just left blank. With coins like this, I like to see a little bit of texture in the background, which on this one would have been cool to see some ripply waves or something to tie in the theme of Aquaman, but no harm, no foul there. I still score it a 7. Now, for the reverse, we have the Silver Age of comics depicted, not the Golden Age, but the next closest thing, which would have been the 1940s. So it is definitely a classic look, which I love. We have the more New Age look here at the top. The colors pop, and I absolutely love that. So cool thing there. We have some flying fish here in the background, which I have a coin from Tokelau of the flying fish called the Hahave, according to them. The green and orange combo meal here, classic. So if you like drab colors, these kind of go well together, and I absolutely love it, and I don't know why, other than I just do. We have some cool font here down at the bottom, that classic looking font there. Packaging is nice. And I love the idea that we have both new and old, but still in the traditional color pattern. So kind of cool there. So I score that a 9. Mintage is our next area. So on this Looney Tunes right here, we had 3,000. When I checked it on the Aquaman, by the way, that's his little logo there, we only have 2,500 of these minted, which is just fantastic. 2,500 of this version of the coin is extremely low, and obviously will score a 10. And now we have to get into cultural significance, which is kind of a bummer. For the Looney Tunes, it was extremely low. For the Aquaman here, it's not going to be too much different. So for Samoa, the pop culture of Aquaman was really not relevant on its merits. It probably didn't show up till possibly the 1980s, and that's just possible for Samoan exposure. We really can't track that because this is not something we know as far as, where comic books getting to Samoa, likely not. But at that time, at least, we had a little bit of TV, radio type stuff, and there's possibility that it got there. It's just really hard to track. But I will say that the sea life and the lore of Aquaman exists in many cultures throughout the world. It might have had a different name, like Maui or something like that. But it is something to think about, is that it's possible that the type of character existed in their culture. It's just not him. So I'm going to score that a 5, mostly because we have Samoa on the back with the little coat of arms, and we have a sea creature versus what we had in a duck over here. Somebody who actually would have been attuned to the culture of Samoa, as one would say. So there we go. Collectability. Comics, as we know, are highly collectible, and now with the movie industry revival of comic books, with all the Marvel and the DC and that type of thing, it is an extremely good time to have these types of coins, because not only are they iconic, but they're selling decently, all over the place, and it's something that I imagine will be with us for some time. So I got mine because I have a kid, and these are things that they would like. Well, I have 2 kids really, but these are themes that I think they will like one day. And I got a heck of a deal on him, which is great. But he's not the most iconic character, but he's still very well known. And so I'd say he's in the second tier of popularity. He's not Batman. He's not Superman. He's not Wolverine. He's kind of in that secondary tier. It's extremely low mintage. And this is classic Americana when we talk about the escapism of 1940s. So I love the history connection to pop culture and that type of thing. And another cool thing is the U.S. Mint has decided to partner with DC to come out with some coins. Not the best theme that I would have chosen, but the fact that they're doing that might actually help connection to little things like this. If there's a huge boom in the DC junction with the U.S. Mint, then we might see some popularity shifting with the collectability of coins like this. So that being said, extremely collectible coin there. And I will therefore score it a 9 out of 10. Now for uniqueness. Niue has a handful of coins that feature this guy. Not all are just Aquaman focused. In fact, most of them are like the movie that just came out of Aquaman played by Jason Momoa. But a lot of them are, Justice League and that type of thing. They're not anything like this for sure. This one is colorized and packaged. The only one I've ever seen like this, in fact, that is colorized and packaged. It's extremely low mintage, and so it scores a 10, which brings us to our final thoughts and score, where Aquaman swims across the line at a 50 out of 60, making it by just the tip of its trident elite. This is Americana with history tied to World War II, which is great. Nature is its thing, and it's my thing, which is great. It is comic book art, which is something of, Americana as well, though it is worldwide now. It is something that was uniquely American in its time, which is really cool. The U.S. Mint is partnering with it, and so for all these reasons, it's something to just consider. I know it's not for everyone. This is a highly, highly subjective type of coin. In fact, I'll probably have an asterisk on it when it comes to its scoring because it is so subjective. But if this is your type of thing, it really is something to consider. It's not a bad little product here. But that's all I have for you. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you remember, as always, to remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.